Ladies, gentlemen, powerlifters, welcome to the Clean Strength Fitness Podcast. We actually don't have a solidified name yet, so if it changes by the next one, be prepared. We're here to share our insights, wisdom, and knowledge that we gained so far in our powerlifting careers to hopefully help you out in your powerlifting career. Today's topic is, if we could give one message to our younger self to help guide us through our powerlifting careers, what would that message be? Mally, please start.
All right,
Now.
I'm gonna piss you off a little
Mally,
bit.
now.
I'm gonna piss you off. Well, okay, this is when I was thinking about this topic, I kind of started to say these are the few things that I really think are important for me to learn as a starting powerlifter. Then I started to think about it, and I'm like, do I really want to teach myself that? Because that's kind of why I fell in love with the sport, the shit that I learned over my time powerlifting. But anyways, if we really had to go down this road, I would probably go down and say it's okay to care about powerlifting, about stuff that you want to do. Because I don't know if a lot of you relate to this, but obviously when you're a kid starting out, you just don't really, you care about the wrong things. You want to care about being cool, about being, popular or whatever, like all those kind of things. So it's okay to give a shit about something that you care about. And along with that, I think important to say that if you do care about something, you start really falling in love with the process and what you want to do. So telling myself, care, love what you're going to do because it's going to reward you, but listen to the people who are saying, why are you doing this? What's the point? Who really cares about this really niche thing that you're wanting to do? And with that being said, I think the reason why I say I don't really want to tell myself these things is because while learning that it's okay to care, I've also learned that I really have to work hard to get everything to get. So I really did, when I was starting out powerlifting or anything when I was younger, I really didn't give a fuck. I didn't want to work hard. I didn't want to try. I just wanted to get given everything because that's how everyone else was getting it. So I was like, oh, that's how you're going to get it too. You just have to coast and it's going to work. But that's not how it's been for me. And it's fine. I love it that way because now sitting here, I'm like, I fucking love that it wasn't easy. I love that I had to care. I really love that I had to pour my heart and soul into the sport, into everything that I've had to do. So that's also kind of do with my teaching now, which is why I'm like, do I want to tell myself this as a kid, or do I just want to live the process and learn that you want to work hard and you want to give a shit? So that's my thing.
So early on in your career, you felt that being a try-hard was cringe in a sense. Is this what you're getting at here? And
Yeah,
later
I
on
think
in your
totally.
career, you started to embrace it. You just started to embrace it as the journey went on.
Yeah, and I also thought that, like, for some reason, I thought, like my lifts were big already. I didn't really need to like try. I'm already good at this shit, which I wasn't, right? But I always just thought that I can just be on easy mode. I don't need to care. I don't need to try, because it was pretty cringy to shit, because people made fun of you for trying at the gym, making noise at the gym or grunting or doing all these things. Like, why are you trying? Why are you being such a loser? So yeah, and I think people are still doing it. I think there's adults who are still doing this in this day and age, which I think is cringe from the other side, because I'm like, you're really a 30-year-old or a 25-year-old thinking that it's okay not to give a shit. That's fucking lame.
Nick, David, do you guys relate to this, or did you never have an issue with like being a tryhard or opinions of others and your efforts in the sport?
I have never been a nonchalant or a farmer. I feel like I've always given a shit. I don't know. When we get around to my answer, I kind of want to like pick around and like relate it to Mally and David's, because I've thought about it quite hard, but I definitely will need to like back up off of Mally and David's, but like I don't think I had this issue. I feel like I've always tried very hard at powerlifting and have never really cared about like how that externally looks.
Hmm.
I don't know, like I had a couple years training at like a university gym where you're surrounded by like all of your peers and like you're a freshman and I don't know, I still put on my stupid dinosaur deadlifting socks and went and just like ripped weights and looked like a complete jackass doing it, but that was fine to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with, dude, my headphones are falling apart. I relate to that too, because when I started off powerlifting, I don't know if, obviously, maybe some of the listeners have trained with me. I know you guys have trained with me. I make some funky noises when I'm lifting. But like I look back at my career and like, dude, I was making weird grunting sounds in good life, just like going all in right from the start. So yeah, I've also never had a huge issue with feeling judged or like being framed as a tryhard. But yeah, so I think I relate to Nick a little bit more on that one. What about you, David?
Yeah, I think I have to relate to you and Nick here because if I had an issue with that, I probably wouldn't be pulling sumo. So, but no, like in the gym and stuff like that, I never really had an issue with pretending, I guess, or feeling that way. I've always just gone in and did what I wanted to do, and honestly, it's kind of been like the opposite. People have gone up to me and asked me, like, "Oh, are you competing?" or like, "Oh, like what sport is this?" So they always seem like they're interested in what I'm doing because it's a little bit different than their split. Because they don't usually, because I train at a commercial gym, so they don't usually come in and see a dude hit like bench every day or every time he's there, and then like squat and bench like 2 to 3 times a week. So it's like unheard of for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like I get the point of this discussion. It isn't really about like what would we change. Like it's a hypothetical that like, the younger generation is going to hopefully relate to. And I think that like the greater message behind this little snippet is that like sincerity and authenticity is cool. And I think that like when you're young, it's so easy to fall into like a shell of like, or not even a shell, but like put up that like facade and defense that like none of this shit really matters to me. I'm too cool for it. Like you don't want to give too much of a fuck because you're scared of looking like a loser. And maybe that's like, for the psychoanalyze this too much, maybe that's like fear of failure, of like falling short. So then you don't ever want to look like you care too much because then if you ever do fall short, it's like, that's embarrassing. But that's just not the case. Like it is so much more like, especially now as an adult, when I look at, people my age or younger, even older, that don't, like you guys said, like act sincere, act authentic, give a shit about things. Now it's really cringy because it's like, look, you can kind of see through it to a point. Like if you do care about something to any degree, it's really hard to fake that you don't. And if anything, it's like, dude, just wear that shit on your sleeve. Like be a man about it. Or like a woman, like just be brave about it. Be confident about it. Because confidence is everything in life, right? And like, yeah, just don't shy away from it because that's cringy ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, and you hear this a lot in the business space too. Is like, when anyone's starting a new business pursuit, it's like people always look crazy until it works, and then everyone asks you how you got there. Right? It's the same thing in powerlifting. It's like, yeah, maybe you are going to look a little bit crazy with your obsession at first, but then once you do become really good, people are going to ask you for every single tip you have and study you, right? So it's the whole idea of like, you need to accept that you might be a weirdo to some people, but when it does work out, you'll be studied for it, right? So I do totally understand what Mal's trying to say, and we all do agree on the point. It's just the way that we're perceiving it, right? So I think that's kind of unanimous there. David, if you could go back,
yes,
and give a tip to your younger self in your powerlifting career when you were starting out, what would it be?
All right, to make this short, I would say get a coach. So it may sound kind of funny to some people, but there was a time, I come from humble beginnings where when I started barbell sports or even started lifting weights, I couldn't even bench press the barbell because before that I was playing soccer. After soccer, I went to school, didn't play any sports, put on some weight, so I ended up being, if you guys know the body type, it's kind of like an ectomorph, kind of skinny fat in a way.
No one's brought that up in like 10 years.
Yeah, I learned that.
Ectomesmo and endomorph.
Well, that's how I saw myself, right? And
I
that's
thought I
how
was an
it
ectomorph too, because Ziz was an ectomorph, and I was like, I'm Ziz.
I had like no muscle mass and a gut, so that's so when I first went into the gym, right? Couldn't press 45-pound bar. And after being consistent and stuff like that, probably 6 months into it, I found powerlifting. Because when I first started, I wasn't really interested in the whole diet thing, and I was like, "Oh, powerlifting! Eat as much as you can and lift as much as you can." So, well, that's how it was like back in the day before all these like lean monsters came out, right? So did that, and then it was probably about like, I think I went uncoached for 3 years, and throughout those 3 years, I did not progress the way I wanted to. And I always thought about competing in powerlifting, but I never felt that I was ready or prepared enough. So after COVID hit and stuff like that, I started retraining. I found myself a coach, and from there, it gave me
That was me.
that was Mal. It gave me confidence to actually prep for a powerlifting meet. Because at that time, before all that, I was like, I can't do this on my own. Like, I don't have the strength for it. I'm not strong enough. I'll never be strong enough. But once you like find a coach that you mesh with and you kind of fall under his guidance or their guidance, progressing is a lot easier, especially if it's structured. And same with technique. There's a lot of wrong with my technique before I got a coach, and I didn't even know that going into it, because I thought my self-coach, sometimes you think your technique is pretty flawless because you're kind of analyzing yourself. But once you're able to get it from a different set of eyes, it really does make a whole lot difference. And after that, I kind of never looked back, and I have a coach till now. And if that is something I could tell my younger self, I would say get a coach earlier, because you would progress faster.
I'm actually really interested in hearing Nick's opinion on this. As most of our viewers probably know, Nick has been self-coached since day one. Nick, what are your thoughts on what David said?
Well, I don't know if you guys know any coaches. I know I'm a coach. I think having me as a coach is wonderful. I can't speak as having anyone else as a coach, but I know that the Nick Manders coaching protocol, it's great. If you want to fast track your progress from like novice to intermediate to expert, I think it's the best way to do it. I think it's the fastest way to do it. I totally agree with David here if you're going down the road of being coached by me. I don't know. I can't speak for other coaches. But I do know that like I've done well by myself.
You you're somewhat an anomaly, I guess, because not everyone has an understanding of barbell sports, and a lot of people are very critical or hypercritical about their technique, and so was I. Which it caused a lot of things where like, oh, like I don't know if I'm doing this right, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. Like getting a second opinion would have been nice at the time.
Sorry, David. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Like from getting that second opinion, I was able to progress more. But not everyone's Nick.
Well, going off what David just said, this is actually really interesting, right? So, I mean, ultimately, what David's getting at is that second set of eyes, the guidance. Nick, when you were going through troublesome times early in your powerlifting career, like, where did you seek out that guidance from? Like, who helped you out, right? Like, what did you do during troublesome times early on in your career?
Yeah, so I'll say this like right away is that like all bullshit aside, I don't think being self-coached is the best path forward. Like I have very specific and very sort of personal reasons for being self-coached that, for me, it is the only way forward. I do think that if I was to hire on a coach, my love and passion for the sport in a lot of facets beyond just the physical would diminish. So, for me, it's sort of just like, this is the way I want to do things, even though I absolutely understand that, like, look, I can't think of too many people at the top that have self-coached. I can think of Ade Omasakin, and is that it? Like, even Rondell has like a coach, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Like
he does.
Rondell's had
Yeah.
everyone I can think of has a coach at the top. Like, it doesn't happen very often for a reason, right? And one of those reasons, like you said, Adam, is that or like both of you said, I don't have a second eye. I don't have a second opinion. So I've had to build that up through literally a decade of trial and error, of self-taught learning, of like finding information online and going, let's try this, and seeing if it works for me or doesn't. And, sometimes I do very well. Sometimes I snap. It's just the way it is, right? To me, this is personally very fulfilling. However, from just like a pure athletic standpoint of just like, how well is my career doing? Let's be honest, it could be doing better. It could be doing better than it is if I wasn't sort of mentally restricted by this choice. And I understand that and I accept it. Will other people also, accept that answer for themselves? I don't think they should. I think it's, a waste of time for most people, unless you have that little brain bug in your head that I have that says, like, if you don't do this completely on your own, it isn't worthwhile, which is it's a stupid thought. It is like an irrational thought. If you don't have that, then you are trading essentially are you going to try to learn everything on your own for a decade? Or are you just going to hire someone that's already done that can fast track your progress? Time is money. In fact, time is way more important than money for most people, right? Time is the most important currency in a sense. Don't spin your wheels. Don't waste your time doing it unless you have a very convincing, almost philosophical argument for yourself.
Yeah, interesting. Now, thoughts on what's been said so far, either David or Nick, or your opinion on the situation?
Yeah, I think so. I have two things I like to talk about here, but I'll talk about Nick a little bit just because I'm kind of in a unique, well, actually, no, David and Adam and everybody, Adam and Nick are the same thing too. But I've trained with Nick and Adam, and training with Nick during his last year of being injured and being so down bad. I haven't seen Adam when he was down bad, but I've seen Nick when he was down bad. And I will say that his ability to come in on every Monday and still pulling deadlifts, even though he can't walk, still squatting on a Wednesday, even though he can't even do a air squat without crying in pain, or driving to the gym without in pain. I'm just saying that people don't have the ability to do that and stick to something even though they're down so bad. That's why they need a coach. They need a coach to tell them they're doing fine. They still have to do the same shit over and over again. And I just don't think 99.999% of the people have the ability to do that. Me personally, I don't have the ability to do that. So I'm saying that Nick is very unique in the sense that he hasn't needed a coach in his career, because in this point, it would break the best lifter, right? So yeah, that's my take on Nick's thing. And then
Can I chip in on that slowly? Can I chip in on that slowly, Melly? I heard something today that relates exactly to what you're saying. A lot of people become depressed in this sport, when they're going through trouble sometimes, right? And I heard something today that was really interesting, and is people become depressed because there's a lack of perceived options, right? They run out of options, and that's when they start to feel depressed, right? So we can take that into this situation of people burn out or become depressed in the sport because they feel like they have no options left, right? And that's where coaching can open up a door for you is like you have someone who has studied the sport, been through multiple situations with multiple different lifters. They're going to have more options than you're going to have just on your own, right? So I totally agree. Like Nick is an incredibly unique situation where he's just kind of able to keep on kicking on his own and pushing through it. But Mally, you're right. It's like when you're going through troublesome times and you feel like you're running out of options, a coach is such a valuable tool to have. So that was a really good point, Mal. I like that one.
Yeah. And then the second thing I would say is that when you get a coach that is very experienced or has been through the shit and been through the high, and they've gotten people through the shit and the high, and they really understand what it takes, you're almost like going to this person who can tell you what to do earlier, right? Like Nick said, it took him 10 years of trial and error to really figure out what works, what doesn't. Now we've done that for you, right? We've fucked up. We have done the bad. We've done the good. We know what works. So when it comes to like what I really try to do with my athletes, I really try to teach them what I said I would teach myself. What if I was to talk to myself 10 years ago is I tell them, I'm like, you need to care. Don't give a shit about what others are saying to you. You want to love every single aspect of it, even the injuries, the highs, love everything. And you have to fucking work hard because not all of us are Agatha. Not all of us are gifted and just born for this shit. Some of us just have to work our fucking ass off. And that's just what I teach my athletes. And that's because I've had to learn that. So I think having a coach is valuable because they can just teach you that shit earlier.
I agree. I guess
Probably oh, sorry, David.
No, that's okay. I'd probably relate this back to myself again, just because to piggyback off what Mal was saying. Yeah, like when you have a coach, right? You're expecting a certain amount of experience, and like they've done it, they've done the thing. And for me, as someone going back to my younger self, as starting my powerlifting career, my journey, where I didn't know anything, I didn't know what federation to compete in, I didn't know the rules, I didn't know what equipment to get, I didn't know how to sign up, I didn't know what memberships to get. So getting a coach really fast tracked that, and that coach basically helped me kind of jump the hurdle of being scared to commit, right? Because if I was committing, I was committing on my own.
Who was that coach?
It was at the time it was Coach Mal Harpatil, but but yeah, it basically fast tracked that as a younger lifter who kind of needed the guidance and kind of the safety net of someone in my corner who knew what they're doing and that I could trust to walk me through the steps to help me perform my best, to kind of be there on game day, be prepared, and not feel almost like an imposter syndrome of competing against other strong people around me.
Yeah, I guess I'll chime in. I guess I'm the last one in the rotation here for this question, but I've always just been infatuated. I've been very, very curious in the process of getting strong, since I started powerlifting. So right when I started, I got a coach. I might have been powerlifting on my own for a couple months, and I got a coach right away because I wanted to learn. And I've kept that going my entire powerlifting career. It's I wanted to learn as much as I could, as fast as I could. And honestly, this might be, I don't recommend this one, but when I was younger, I had this idea of, I also wanted to learn from as many people as I could, as fast as I could. So, I mean, I'm not scared to admit it. I did hop around from coach to coach early on in my powerlifting career because I was just so curious in different coaching strategies. Now, it's a horrible thing to do because, we know the process of getting stronger requires some data collection, right? A coach needs to figure you out as a lifter, how you need to move through blocks, what works for you. And that takes a long time. You need to give a coach an opportunity to do that. So, my fault was, I would switch coaches maybe every 2 years or something. And it probably would have been valuable to hang around a little bit longer. But the beauty of it is I just worked with so many different coaches, good or bad. It's allowed me to get better as a lifter, right? Like I collected data through that of, okay, this is what worked with this coach. This is what didn't work. So that's been incredibly valuable for my own lifting career, but also just like for my coaching, right? Like I've experienced so many different styles of programming, so many different styles that I've learned so many different ways to approach issues from a bunch of different minds. And it's been incredible for me. So I don't regret it. And I'm very happy I started working with coaches early on because it helped push my knowledge forward quickly. So yeah, I guess that would be my input on that one. All right, boys. Nick, if you could go back and give your younger self some advice to progress throughout their powerlifting career, what would it be?
I've thought long and hard about this, like 24 hours.
That's a long time. That's it.
I wouldn't change anything. It's such a cop-out answer, which is why I wanted to go last, because I really don't like starting with it. And I wish this wasn't my answer, but I am very happy with the way my powerlifting career has went. If you take into account like the view that I have of powerlifting, right? Because to me, it's the cliche, like it's not the destination, it's the journey. Like I absolutely could have done this shit more efficiently. Like there are so many steps I could have taken, in the past that would have brought me to a better total faster earlier, right? Like way more competitive. But it wouldn't make me who like I am today as like an athlete, as a coach, and like as a person. Like it very much is like, if we change too much in the past, do we learn the same lessons? Do we have that same like sense of becoming? Like I've totally fucked up a bunch. I've been through so much injury. I have like my first sort of run through of like locals, Westerns, like all that jazz. I missed Westerns, which meant that the year that Worlds and Nationals were both in Calgary, which by the way, I would have won Worlds. I missed it. I just missed out on that. And I'm genuinely so grateful that happened, because I remember watching in the stands and just going, I should be there. And it put such a chip on my shoulder that, from sub-junior to now, I've been trying to fulfill that like chip of like, I should be up there. And I think that, if I had made those like, elementary mistakes of like sign up for Westerns, just do that and then do the route, I probably would have burned out as a subby. I would have peaked at Worlds and then been like, all right, that's it, I'm done. If I hadn't gone through like, as many tumultuous injuries as I've had, or, combed through all of the different sources online that I can, I wouldn't have the same knowledge base. I wouldn't have the same grit and tenacity that I have. Like it's forced me to become the person I am now. And I'm eternally grateful for that. So if anything, I would have to go back and tell my like, younger self to just do what you're going to do and just believe that it will be worth it. Because, I've always had that belief, but there were definitely points where like it wavered a bit, where I was like down on myself, where I'm like, this is kind of stupid. Walking back from like the university gym. I remember actually one night where I was walking back from the gym at like midnight to my car, and it was like in the middle of a blizzard at like -50, and I could hear all the houses around me like partying, and I was just walking back to my car. It was like a 30-minute walk, like a fucking frozen incel. And I was like, what am I doing? This is really stupid. And I got home, and actually, I'll get to this at the end, because like when I got home, my habits weren't great. Because if there was one thing that I think was a mistake that didn't have a single positive to it, I will get to that at the end, because there is one thing. But for the most part, every mistake that I've made, every fault that I've had, I think has had a positive outcome at the end that is invaluable and is worth, the negative. So I'm genuinely very happy that my career has been as shit as it has been at points. Because, to me also, it makes the highs more worth it. and so on and so forth. But for the most part, I wouldn't change a thing. Now, the one thing I was saying is that I didn't take recovery seriously until I was like 20. I didn't sleep at all. I would try to get away with like 4 hours of sleep. I would stay up late at night, and I would goon and play League of Legends. Just like all the time. And I would try and survive on like, I think at one point in uni, I was at like 1.2 grams of caffeine a day. I would change that. That part just fucking sucked. I felt like a wreck, like 24/7, gave nothing from it, didn't learn anything from gooning. Surprise, surprise. So I would change that. That part sucked.
What rank were you though? What rank did you get?
I never even got past gold. I was like gold
What?
3 at best.
You're so bad.
Dude, I was running on like 4 hours of sleep.
Bro,
And
the one year,
anytime an MF was on my screen, I'd get bricked up and lose focus. All right.
the one year the one year I turned to ectomorph, I got plat. What are you doing? Come on.
Jerking my shit, not having a good time.
All right, I do want to. I'm gonna put Nick. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit then. All right. I know you can't answer this. You're Nick Manders. You're good on your toes. All right. Because that answer was your answer, let's change it slightly. If you could give a piece of advice to a young lifter who's not Nick Manders, something that you think would be immensely valuable just for a young lifter in general, what would it be? Right? Don't say stop gooning. Don't say stop gooning.
You can do it. I'm actually not against it. Go ahead. I don't give a fuck. At some point in your career, it doesn't matter how good you are. It does not matter how gifted or lucky you are. At some point, it's gonna really fucking suck. It is not negotiable. At some point in your career, you're gonna want to quit, and you're gonna want to quit too early. It's gonna be like in that like 3 to 6 year range where you're not near your peak, but you've gotten far enough that like you're in it, and it's really gonna fucking suck. It is going to be terrible. It's going to be hard. You just got to get through it. Like, embrace it. I'd say that, like, you need to earn your feathers in a way. You need to earn your stripes. Like, there's no good powerlifter at the top that hasn't suffered. You're not any different. My journey was very hard. I love that it was hard. I wouldn't want it to be easy. But when it is hard, you don't want it to be hard. Like, when you're in the shit, you don't want to be in it. You'll look back on it and go, that was great. I'm happy I did it. But when you're in it, you're like, get me the fuck out. You're going to be in that spot, and you need to treat it as a learning opportunity. You need to treat it as a learning opportunity, not just for powerlifting, but for life. That's the point when there is so much becoming of character. When you do start to learn about yourself and what life means and what is satisfying and what truly gives you meaning only happens when shit hits the fan. And at any other point, you're just coasting on a high, and it's not. It's fun. It's great. You'll progress, but it's not the points that actually make you a person. And because of that, it's like, if anything, I'd say that like when shit starts to get really tough, I want to get like a boomer and just be like, be grateful for it. Like, genuinely be grateful for the shit, because those are the best moments in when you look back.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I mean, this is loosely related to, and something I just think might be valuable for the listeners is like, I made a video on this recently, but assuming that people who have become great at something have just got there because the pursuit was easy, it's going to mess with your head. Like, you just have to assume that everyone needed to work hard to where they got. How am I trying to say this? Everyone had to work hard to get to where they needed to be, right? If we just start assuming that everyone at the top just had it super easy, you're going to be discouraged. You're not going to be motivated to take on that suffering and keep on pushing when times get tough. So don't assume that the really good lifters just got there because it was easy for them. No, they had to suffer for it, right? And if you want to get there, you're also going to need to suffer for it. So I think that's interesting. Someone pitched the question to me. I'm ready.
Wait, I want to talk about Nick, what he just said.
Oh, Mal, let me hear it. And David too.
All right.
if you want to comment.
You guys know Ned Brockman? Have you heard about that guy?
Oh.
Tell us about him.
Is that the dude from
so Ned
Pokemon?
Brockman, he's no. Ned Brockman is. I think he's Australian, but he's an endurance runner, and he tried to beat the world record of running like 1,000 miles in 12 days or something like that, or 10 days, but he did it in 12 days, something like that. But he did a podcast recently about it where he got to like the 10th or 9th day and he was dying. Like his mom was taking him out of bed. He was basically not sleeping during this whole time because you can't, because of how much you're trying to run in this period. But he couldn't, he was just dying. He's like, I'm just going to quit. I'm just not going to do it. And his mom like took him out of bed, showered him, fed him, spoon fed him, and made him go out and run again. And he just continued to do it. He didn't beat the world record. But the point of this is that he got on a podcast and he talked about this shit and he went, I'm kind of glad I didn't do it. You know, I'm kind of glad at the first time I tried to beat the world record, I didn't beat the world record. Because he's like, now when I do it, or even if I don't, it's just going to be that much more satisfying because it's going to be hard. I have to work for it. But if I just did it at the first go, I'd have just been like, oh, that was fucking easy. I'm the guy.
Sounds like you worked pretty hard the first time.
What?
You didn't even break the world record. What a fucking pussy.
Well, it sounded like he worked pretty hard
Yeah.
the first time if he couldn't get out of bed on his own.
No, I know.
No, what I'm understanding is he needed his mama to get him up in the morning. Okay,
No.
what the
And
fuck?
don't we all?
He's really greedy. He's really greedy. But yeah, like his body was
Suffering
basically
begins.
his body was basically giving out on him, and he needed some help there, right? So, but anyways, the point is that he's grateful that he had to go through the suffering of it. Yeah, so I agree with Nick, and I also agree with Nick that I probably wouldn't want to tell myself when I started to change something because I've learned so much fucking shit through this. I wouldn't be the person I am today without powerlifting and all the stupid shit and all the mistakes I made through life, and then powerlifting helping me out of it. So
No, don't take my answer. You already gave your younger self an answer.
Yeah, you said care more.
Cop out.
Care more.
I said that in the beginning of the podcast, actually. I don't know what, maybe if I could listen better, bro.
What's going on over there, Nick?
Cop out. I got to piss really bad.
All right, go for it. You want?
Should we take a quick 10-minute break and then
No,
we get back to Adam?
This is
Yeah.
an ad break. We'll take an ad break here.
Mal had
Yo,
to
how
How
are
the
you
fuck are you
so
back?
fast?
What?
He didn't wash his hands. I
How
know
you do
it.
that?
I know he didn't wash his hands.
Yo, Nick, did you wash your hands?
The fuck do you think?
Bro was just going to the plant beside him and just pissing and running back, bro.
You guys clearly aren't fucking gamers. All right, every gamer knows how to piss quick. You die, you piss, you get back, you've not even responded yet. You got to
See, this is why you're
Bro,
gold, Nick. This is why you're gold.
Bro peeked that goal and said, "I'm not a gamer." What the fuck?
Nick, I actually have a. Nick, I have a question about this.
All right.
So, do you think that Do you think that tactic comes into play strategically on game day, taking a piss in between attempts?
I actually had an answer that I was thinking of beforehand, but I was like, people are going to think I'm coping and shit. But actually, if I was going to tell my younger self one key little thing, this is crazy. I was like, dude, okay, to preface this, 100%, anyone listening to this is gonna be like, I can't believe Nick is still coping about this shit. I genuinely think I would have won Worlds 2023 if I had pissed in a bottle. Hear me out. Adam and Mally remember the layout of that venue. The washroom was 4 minutes away from the staging area. And because it was an 8-person flight, you have zero time, right? You have about 8 minutes between lifts. So I got off of my opener squat. I ran to the bathroom, pissed, ran back, half cramped. Nick, you're up. Took my second, so dog shit. Team CAD only bumped me 2.5 keys. Third was easy. I think if I had pissed in a bottle, that third would have been better. We pace better. You know? We're in that strike zone. So genuinely, I think that if I could tell 2023 Nick a single thing, it would be like, look, man, piss in a bottle.
Yeah, dude, I still think about that all the time. That venue was so horrible. And obviously, for most of the listeners won't know this, but the venue actually had 2 washrooms. And one was like 10 steps away from the warm-up room. It was so close, but they had it closed.
Huge.
They had it closed off for drug testing lifters. So we had to it was a mission to the washroom. And they had this behemoth of a man. Like the drug tester at the meet was like 7 feet tall. He was so tall. So no one dared challenge him to try and get
dude,
into that washroom.
That washroom was huge. Like it wasn't like, oh, there's one toilet in here. I thought I was gonna go in and like, oh, it's a little personal thing. 10 fucking urinals. I was pissed.
Full size.
I was like, we could be using this shit. We could be pissing in here.
I wonder who thought about setting it up like that? Like who was the mastermind of that? I need to speak to them.
It still makes me angry. It's actually the one thing about that meet that like still really upsets me. That and like the head rule, but like we're past it.
All right,
remember that.
all right, boys. Let's get back on topic here. Adam, if you can go back in time, what's one piece of advice you would tell yourself?
All right. I'm not going to pull a Nick answer here. I actually do think I have some valuable advice for my younger self. And that would be do a better job at reflecting on my blocks. When I was younger, I was so gung-ho and such a meathead that anytime I ran into issue with a block, for example, I just was destroyed by the time I got to a week 4, a week 5, the end of my block, whatever it is. I would never question it. I wouldn't think about how did I pace to this last week? What did my block look like? What can I change? I would just come up with the most, dude, it was always like, I'm not trying hard enough. And then I would just hammer myself right into the next block and then hammer myself right into the next block. I would never reflect on anything. I never fine tune anything. And I can't tell you how much of a difference it makes when you take a second to reflect on the data, what has gone right in a block, what has gone poorly in a block, and how can I make my next block better, right? Like how can I preserve myself throughout a block and accumulate more, I don't want to say optimal, but more consistent work. Because dude, that is literally something I messed up for so many years. And I think I would be slightly ahead if I smartened up a little earlier. And I will say this, the act of smartening up to this is recent. I feel like I've only really started to master this in the last couple of years. I'm not gonna lie. I've been powerlifting for a long time, but I've only truly got good at reflecting upon data in my blocks recently. And it's helped me tremendously. In terms of performance block to block and just moving the needle forward. What are you guys' thoughts? Did you guys do a good job at reflecting on data? Yeah, Nick, remember that time I squatted 300 kilos and you didn't?
Oh God.
Remember that time I podiumed at Worlds?
Wait, Nick, but did you get a gold medal at Worlds or? I mean, I got a gold one.
No one cares about individual lives. Come on.
Yeah, no, sad times for me.
No, I think I agree with Adam. I didn't think about anything in terms of I didn't even really care about block to block periodization or growth or anything. I was just kind of doing shit, not really caring about where I was in a block or not really caring about how the last block ended. I kind of just looked at it just who cares? You just have to try harder. You have to do more or do less, but I never really even reflected. But I did start reflecting a lot more in the last 2 years, and I've added 15 GL, so I think it works.
Nick, do you ever ponder on past blocks and really fine tune from it?
I do now. I didn't even used to run blocks when I started. I didn't know what a block was until 2021.
All right, kids, get yourself a coach real quick.
Yeah, like, dude, if we're gonna talk about like my programming history, I love it. I romanticize it deeply, but what a fucking train wreck. I don't even have anything like on data. Like I've never tracked anything. I've never written anything down for my own trading. Like, some people know this, other people hear about it and go like, "Are you insane?" But I've never like wrote any of my training down on a spreadsheet ever. The most I ever have is like I have some notes apps, or not some notes apps. What am I saying? But like in the notes app, I have some notes of like some of my old training. It was awesome. I remember my first peak, 10 weeks out from a meet, 10 by 10, 9 weeks out, 9 by 9, 8 weeks out, 8 by 8, and so on and so forth, linearly tapering. That meet was successful, dude, you got to do some meathead shit, and it's fun. I look back on it and I think that like genuinely, like I remember that 10 by 10 day. It was grueling. I shared a belt with the only other person in the Anytime Fitness Chestermere, and it was like a Stampede cheerleader. Like it was a girl, and I was like, I need that belt, and she was like, how many more sets? 9. What? I need it. Give me the Velcro belt. So like tracking block progress, yeah, that's a recent occurrence. Do I wish that I did it? Not really, but that's again because I have brain worms, and like my idea of powerlifting is really less of like I want to reach my athletic peak as soon as possible. And honestly, this is like a genuine answer. I think of it more as an art project. Like if we ever want to delve into that more on like a future podcast, I absolutely will. But like in short, I view powerlifting as art, and how I want to create that art piece it is as much to do with how I want to create it as what I create that matters to me. Which is like actually a super off topic, but
I mean, it is interesting though, because that's kind of like within the coaching company, like within how we operate things here. There's a clear difference between, especially me and Nick. Like Nick has always been more on the creative side, and he has a lot of really good ideas, and I've always been better on like back end number stuff. So it's really interesting how that plays out into our own programming style, or just perception of powerlifting as a whole. He sees it a lot more. He sees it more as a creative outlet, and I see it more of just like data collection and refinement like that. So it's super interesting, and it shows you that like there's so many different lenses that you can look at the sport from and still become successful. Or actually, we're not Nick, we suck. Still become moderately good powerlifters.
Are we still top 20?
In what?
Jamie, Braden, can you pull that up real quick? Open IPF, 83 kilo, open division. Are we still top 20 off of total?
Give me a moment.
God,
let me share my screen. Hold on.
Is top 20 successful? Would you consider top 20 in the sport successful? I feel like it's
83,
almost there.
In 83?
In 83
yes.
open worldwide.
Yes. In 83, yes. In other weight classes, no.
We are making our way there. Stay with me, fellas.
I mean, off-topic conversation.
No, this is important.
We can address it very quickly. What do we consider successful in powerlifting?
This is interesting.
Top 20 in the weight class?
Yeah, top 20, 83 open. No, not in CPU. In CPU, we absolutely are top 20. Don't fuck with me, okay?
Okay, here it is. UB 183. Top 20 to cut off is Carl Jansen. And it looks like.
Fuck, dude.
Gentlemen, I have some bad news.
I'm 32 and you're 33. We're right there. All right. We're cooked.
We're not very good.
Oh, no.
I take back everything I've said. My art project is a failure. Adam can't collect data to save his life. We needed coaches 10 years ago.
Adam should have been self-coached 10 years ago. Maybe just switch shit up, man.
Nick's art project's looking abstract right now.
Yeah, David, any on that?
Where were we at there? Where were we at, boys?
No, I think I would have to agree. Yeah, I kind of wish I did like review my blocks a little bit better. especially earlier in my lifting career, but I do it now since, you know, I'm a coach and everything, so I usually do that. But definitely, like, just because like you want to track the small wins. I think we had a conversation about this before, but it was about like chasing highs, right? You're not always going to be able to chase like the big number, chase that high all the time. Well, it depends on the lifter, I guess. That's why having small wins as the journey goes on is really beneficial, because then it kind of keeps the lifter interested, or athlete, or even me, right? It keeps me interested. And then it just keeps me like progressing slowly without having to, like, this huge number to kind of go for, where I could end up burning out if I don't hit that. But the journey in between that is like what matters the most. And I think tracking data like that, like say like a 3 rep max or 4 rep max, stuff like that, you know, is really beneficial as a lifter.
Mally, what are your thoughts? Have you shared your thoughts on this, Mally? I got so
Yeah,
derailed
bro.
after we started looking at the
I was
IPS
looking-
rankings.
I was
I'm
looking
questioning
at where
everything
I'm
about my
at.
life. I'm
I
questioning
was looking at
everything
where
now.
I'm ranked, and now I want to kill myself.
I do want to quickly stay on topic and just throw that like at David that like I actually did do this as a beginner. I don't think that enough beginners do this anymore, but like you said, like tracking 3 RMs and 4 RMs, I think if you only put progress or the idea of progress into 1 RMs, you are going to have a very, very bad time. Like, that's just obviously it's the sport, right? But only trying to ever push the 1 RM, that eventually starts to really suck. Whereas trying to like chase and push for a bunch of other stupid numbers, whatever they may be, it keeps things fresh, it keeps things exciting, and it keeps you motivated. And more importantly, I think as a beginner, it helps build a base. Like if you want to, you know, row the heaviest dumbbells in the gym for a set of 10, that's probably going to be better off for you as a goal in the first 2 years of your lifting than going, I want to have like a 140 bench or something. I don't know. Like chasing like a specific 1 RM. Like building that base, I think, I'm very, very grateful that I did it. And I think it's super important to like push stuff that isn't just like the 1 RM.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if I wanted to get even a touch more specific on it, I agree. Like tracking all those rep maxes are really important for my lifters. We have a whole chart for that. Just, you know, it's something they can, you know, if we have a top set of 3 during the block, they can go to their PB tracker and kind of get an idea of what they're chasing down. But also the other piece of data I'm talking about here is like, all right, if I had a successful block, like what did my weekly jumps look like? What did the spacing of my jumps look like week to week? Did that have something to do with having a great final week of the block? Maybe. Let's try it again. Did it work? Yeah. Okay, now we have a pretty good idea of like, hey, maybe this is a good strategy to like move through blocks. Let's trust this data that we collected. But in my situation early on in my powerlifting career, I would pace so aggressively from week 1. I would convince myself that like an RP8 was an RP6, and then my week to week jumps were like 5 kilos. And I never took into consideration that like, hey, maybe a 5 kilo week to week jump on a 5 week block is going to tucker me out a little bit. So data like that too, it's just like, look at the block as a whole. How did I just move through that block? Was it successful? Was it not successful? If it was, continue doing that. If it wasn't, try something else.
What do you mean, Adam? I got a post on Instagram, strongest week 1 of all time. I'm coming. Don't post the week 4. Ignore
Week
it.
1 is all that matters. Yeah.
This week 1 was crazy. 4 weeks later, don't talk to me.
Yeah, pacing is definitely crucial. Like Adam was saying, like if you're gonna like RP8 week 1, you're gonna hit a wall before your block even ends, and you're gonna want to scrap it, right? So stuff like that, pacing and you know, just choosing the right attempts and jumps week to week is crucial for every athlete.
Do we have any final remarks, even if it's slightly off topic, before we close out this podcast?
All right, yeah. What if I run 1 week blocks? Can't fuck up the block progression if I only run 1 week.
Did you consider your block where you went 10 by 10, 9 by 9, 8 by 8? Was that a bunch of 1 week blocks, or was that a 10 week block?
I don't know. If it was
Yeah,
anything,
check your notes. Check your notepad real quick.
I think it was marvelous. I think it was a miracle that I survived. I did well. I don't know. It was good shit. I should do it again. I might do it again.
No,
Yeah,
last time you said this, you ran that 7x7, and then you haven't been able to walk since.
I ran 7x7s with actual block progression for like a weird amount of time to like varying degrees of success. But look, I've done
Is that something you program for your lifters?
No.
A 7x7?
no.
I was gonna say, for Manders athletes, I feel for you. Good luck.
No, I've only ever ran myself through the volume gambits because I think that they're really fun, actually. But man, I don't do them anymore because I'm broken, and I also think that they break you. But yeah, that this is besides the point. I don't think that anyone is going to have a genuine discussion over the validity of 10x10s and 7x7s.
I could though. Like, was that more for the physical adaptations, or was it more for the mental suffering? What did you get more out of it?
Okay, so like real quick, like the idea between the 7x7s was that, you know, people were saying for a bit that like volume is the number one thing, right? If you shove the volume forward, you'll do better. So I was like, fuck it. Let's do 49 reps. Like 49. It was a 7x7 back down after a top triple. So I was like, let's do 52 reps. Like, what if I survive? And for a couple weeks I would survive, and then I wouldn't. And you know, you find that line. I don't know. I've always been.
Is this for a meet prep?
No, this was
You used
deep
for
in the
me?
off season.
Oh, okay. I was like, I wonder if you won.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us on. I guess this is our first official Clean Strength podcast. We hope this was insightful or valuable in some sense. If not, in the least, I hope it was entertaining. And we will catch you again next week with one of these other guys hosting the next podcast. So come back in a week.
Patil with the new question of the week. What's your favorite barbell?